The Castlevania series is one of my favorite side-scrolling action franchises. It is too bad the series hasn't really had any new releases recently. I was first introduced to the series with Castlevania 64. I played it with my brother over at our friend's house. Our best friend owned the copy. I know, not a very popular place to start with Castlevania, but I've since played the majority of the games in the franchise. With that in mind, these are my top 10 Castlevania video games. Number 10. Castlevania Lords of Shadow. We start our list off with Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Lords of Shadow was published by Konami and released for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC in October of 2010. Unlike the majority of games in the Castlevania series, Lords of Shadow is a 3D action adventure in a similar vein as Devil May Cry. The game is also a reboot of the series, sharing no previous ties with the earlier titles. You take the role of Gabriel Belmont. He is on a mission to defeat a malevolent order known as the Lords of Shadow and resurrect his wife. As you progress through the game, there are plenty of enemies to kill and action to be had. You can upgrade your whip as you progress, and your trusty secondary weapons are here, such as knives and holy water. There are puzzles to solve too. I guess there is a little something for everyone. One cool note to add is the character of Zobek. He is a founding member of the Brotherhood of Light, and he aids Gabriel on his quest. He is also voiced by the legendary Patrick Stewart. Yes, Professor Charles Xavier is in the game. Pretty cool stuff. Number 9. Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Number 9 on our list is Castlevania Rondo of Blood. The game was published by Konami and originally released exclusively in Japan for the PC Engine in 1993. The game was remade on the Super Nintendo. The game was titled Castlevania Dracula X. However, many consider it a butchered port. I have not played Dracula X, so I can neither confirm nor deny if it is any good. Taking the role of Richter Belmont, you are on a mission to save your lover Annette, who has been abducted by Dracula. Richter is a renowned vampire hunter and a descendant of Simon Belmont. The gameplay is traditional Castlevania. You have your trusty whip to attack enemies and destroy candles for items. You also have secondary weapons you can use, such as a dagger, an axe, or holy water. You can also pull off a cool backward somersault. It comes in handy at times when you are trying to avoid enemies. I've only played this game once, but maybe if I played it more, it would be ranked higher on this list. It is a very solid entry in the Castlevania series. Number 8. Castlevania Arya of Sorrow. Number 8 on our list is Castlevania Arya of Sorrow. The game is the last entry in the Game Boy Advance trilogy. It is of course published by Konami and released in 2003. The game takes place in the future, the year 2035. You play the role of a teenager by the name of Soma Cruz. He was granted occult power as a result of being a potential vessel for the reincarnation of Dracula. The game follows the same style of gameplay that made its debut in Symphony of the Night with RPG elements. You level up your character as you kill enemies to grow stronger. You can attach new armor and weapons that make you stronger as well. One thing that sets this game apart is the soul system. As you traverse Dracula's castle and kill enemies, they sometimes drop souls that someone can absorb. Souls can grant you a plethora of abilities depending on which ones you attach, and believe me, there are a lot of souls to collect, which can be fun and provide a secondary objective for you. The game does have a direct sequel called Dawn of Sorrow for the Nintendo DS. Unfortunately, I have yet to play it. The game is solid all the way around, and I recommend giving it a shot if you haven't played it before. Number 7. Castlevania for the NES. Number 7 on our list is the game that started the franchise, the original Castlevania. The game was originally released in 1986 for the Family Computer Disk System in Japan. A year later, it was ported to the NES in 1987. You take the role of legendary vampire killer Simon Belmont. You are on a mission to destroy Dracula. The game controls seem to be purposely designed to be kind of stiff. For instance, when you jump, you are locked into position and you can't move. You either have to commit to jump forward or jump up before you jump. The placement of enemies in the game can also make this a bit frustrating. Getting hit by Medusa head midair and then falling into a pit sucks. With time though, you get used to the controls and it becomes a little less frustrating. You are equipped with your whip to attack enemies, but you can only whip in one direction. You also have secondary weapons you can use such as the dagger, axe, holy water, and more. The cross is likely to become your favorite quickly, as it acts like a boomerang and is really useful in some boss fights. The game is short, but given its difficult nature, you're going to be trying over and over a lot, so you'll get your money's worth. After saying all that, why is it even on this list? Truth be told, the game is a classic. Without this one, we don't have the rest of the games on the list. The game isn't perfect, but it got the ball rolling for the franchise, and playing this game will surely whip your ass in shape. Pun intended. Number 6. Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. Number 6 on our list is Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. Legacy of Darkness is a 3D action-adventure game released on the Nintendo 64 in 1999. The game's story serves as a prequel to Castlevania 64, a game that was released earlier that same year. Now, before you get your pitchforks out, let me explain. I understand this game has flaws, and it is criticized by some in the Castlevania fandom. The biggest flaw is the platforming. It isn't easy to do, and the camera seems to have a life of its own, which makes jumping all the more frustrating. However, there is something I just like about the game. The atmosphere is pretty dark and eerie, and I kind of like the story too. I also like the music. But what Castlevania game doesn't have good music, right? You play the role of a man-beast named Cornell. You are on a quest to save your adoptive sister Ada from being used as a sacrifice to resurrect Dracula. Along your journey, you'll also encounter another man-beast named Ortega. The dude has allied himself with Dracula though, so be careful. Another note, if you beat the game, you unlock 3 other characters you can play as, including the 2 from Castlevania 64, Reinhard Schneider and Carrie Fernandez. I believe both of their quests are pretty much the same as from Castlevania 64, but I'm not sure. The game is an acquired taste for sure. Just give the game a chance though, you'll get there. Number 5. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Number 5 on our list is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The game is an action RPG that was originally released for the Sony PlayStation in 1997. The game is a direct sequel to Rondo of Blood. It takes place 4 years after. The game is the first of its style, and what many refer to as Metroidvania. The game seems to borrow from the Metroid franchise, namely the game's core design that forces the player to backtrack and acquire new abilities to progress through the game. You play Alucard, the son of Dracula. Richter Belmont has gone missing and Dracula's castle has reappeared, so you journey to the castle to destroy it. Along the way, you also encounter Maria Renard, who fought alongside Richter. The gameplay is essentially traditional Castlevania, with RPG elements thrown in. You start out weak, but as you kill enemies, you gain experience and level up. You'll find stronger weapons to attack with, and better armor to equip for defense. The game's difficulty can vary. It really depends on not only your skill level, but also the level of your character and the equipment you have attached. Meaning, no matter the skill of the player, you play and grind long enough, you should be able to finish the game. Overall, this game is an excellent addition to the Castlevania franchise, with many fans claiming it to be one of the best. I most certainly agree. Number 4. Castlevania 3 Draculas Curse. Number 4 on our list is Castlevania 3 Draculas Curse. The game was released on the NES in Japan in 1989 and North America in 1990. The game is a prequel to the original Castlevania game. Now, let's get one thing straight. This is probably the toughest Castlevania game ever created. It is like playing the original game on steroids. The game appears to use the same game engine as the first, but the level design is even harder. If you are pretty mellow while playing video games, this one will push your buttons. If you generally don't rage, you'll go in clean and come out a foul-mouthed fiend. You play the role of Trevor Belmont, an ancestor of Simon Belmont. Along your journey, you'll meet companions who are playable and can help you on your way. They are Grant Danasty, a pirate with the ability to climb walls, Sifa Belnades, a young sorceress who Trevor later marries, and Alucard, the son of Dracula. You can only have one companion at a time though. During the game, you also come across points where you can pick between one of two paths to continue. This offers a little variety and replay value. The game may be hard, but f it. I love this game. Number 3. Castlevania Bloodlines. Number 3 on our list is Castlevania Bloodlines. The game is also known as Vampire Killer in Japan and a new generation in Europe and in Australia. The game released on the Sega Genesis in North America in 1994. The plot is this. In June of 1914, the Crown Prince of Austria was assassinated. It was said that a strange, beautiful woman was working in the shadows. This woman so happens to be the niece of Dracula, Elizabeth Bartley. She is on the mission to use the souls of the dead to revive her uncle. You have the choice of playing one of two descendants of the Belmont family, John Morris, who is equipped with the legendary whip, and Eric Lacard, who is equipped with a spear. Both vampire hunters have to explore the same areas in the game and fight the same bosses, but their gameplay style is different. The game is traditional Castlevania, although not as hard as the NES titles in my opinion. The music is amazing and the boss fights are pretty memorable. I feel the game might be a little overlooked as it is the only Castlevania entry to appear on a Sega platform. If you are a Castlevania fan though, you need to try this title out. Number 2. Super Castlevania 4. Number 2 on our list is Super Castlevania 4. The game was both published and developed by Konami and released in 1991 for the Super Nintendo in North America. The game is a sort of retelling of the original Castlevania game as you once again take on the role of Simon Belmont. Count Dracula has awakened from his slumber and you have to lay him to rest. The core gameplay mechanics are improved upon. You can now swing your whip in multiple directions, taking out enemies above and below you. You also have greater control of your jump, as you can move while in the air. You still have access to secondary weapons such as your axes and holy water, but with the improvement of your whip, you'll be finding yourself in very few situations that require your secondary weapons. Still though, that really is a small flaw in the design in my opinion. The game is still hella fun to play, and with the improved mechanics, the game feels more fair. When you die, you won't feel like it's a cheap death like in Castlevania 1 or 3. Okay, there are a few areas where some enemy placements are meant to frustrate, but overall it generally isn't a problem. My verdict? This game is classic Castlevania in near perfect form. Number 1. Castlevania Circle of the Moon. Number 1 on our list is Castlevania Circle of the Moon. This game was a launch title on the Game Boy Advance. It was published by Konami in 2001. This is the first Castlevania game I've ever owned and played all the way through. It is my first entry into the Metroidvania style of gameplay. The game's storyline seems to not be canon with the rest of the Castlevania series. Let's get to the plot. You play the role of Nathan Graves, who is an apprentice of vampire hunter Morris Baldwin. In 1830, there was an attempt to revive Count Dracula. Having heard this, Nathan, his friend Hugh Baldwin, and Morris head to the castle to stop it. Of course, they arrive too late as Camilla, a minion of Dracula, has already started the rite to revive her master. The gameplay is similar to other Castlevania games. You are equipped with your whip to attack and kill enemies. You'll gain experience and level up to increase your power. You still have secondary weapons at your disposal such as axes, daggers, and holy water. One thing that sets this game apart is the DSS magic system. DSS stands for Dual Setup System. Certain enemies you encounter in the game drop magical cards. There are two different types of cards, action cards and attribute cards. You can combine one of each to gain various abilities or summon monsters to attack for you. This really adds a lot of variety to the gameplay. There are 20 cards in all, and it is super fun to try and collect them all. This game is my first real dive into the Castlevania world after I dabbled with Castlevania 64, and it is currently my favorite in the series. I have to place this gem number 1. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video.
Please consider dropping a like, subscribing to the channel, or leaving a comment down below. That greatly helps me out. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell if you want to be alerted on future videos coming out. See you in the next video. Take care.